Welcome to the Delvin Cox Experience, the podcast, in which each week I'm on a one-man mission to unite our culture through diversity. I'm your host, Delvin Cox, and I have a special guest on the podcast with me today. Let them know who you are.
I am Vee Vee, and I'm the host of the Not Perfect, Just Broke podcast.
That's awesome. One of the coolest names I've heard for a podcast.
Yes, indeed.
Awesome. As always, we like to start the podcast off with the 5 for 5. 5 questions, 5 answers to get the ball rolling. Are you ready?
Let's do it.
All right. Question number 1. What is the best album you listened to in the past year?
Holy crap.
Doesn't have to be new.
I would say Jodeci, but I don't know what album it was.
Was it a newer Jodeci album?
No, it's the old one.
Like, is there a newer Jodeci album?
No, not the new Jodeci. We're just going to ignore the new Jodeci.
I can think of 2 albums off my head that people would listen to. It's the first one. And it's
the one that's like, my heart belongs to you and I love you for life.
That's, I can't remember that one. That's a really good one, though.
Yeah, that's when they sound good. That's when, what's his name? Was it Gervonta or Levante? Was singing the majority of the parts? Yeah, that was good.
See? I got that with that little shot you said. That's when they sounded good.
Yeah, I don't know if you saw the recent video where he's like, yeah, hi. And in case he's like, yeah.
I have not seen that video.
They sound like the crackheads off of the corner of Baisley.
Oh my God. I haven't seen that video, but now I have to look for it now.
Okay, yeah. It's hilarious. It's actually hilarious / like sad because it's like, what happened to their voice? Yeah,
that's rough. That's rough when you be as big as a group as Jodeci was at the time. 'Cause I remember when I was growing up, it was 2 groups people would name all the time. It was Jodeci and Boys to Men.
Exactly. Now there are a lot of people who will debate with you and like give you like other ones like Blackstreet. What was like Silk? Yeah,
Silk was one too. Silk was one and High Five was one. But
yeah. Oh my God! Did you just say High Five?
High Five.
Are you talking about like the white one?
No, you never heard High Five? The group High Five? I gotta see me some High Five.
I know the one that's High Five, the one that's that British one.
No, they used to sing the song I like the way you kiss me when you're playing the kissing game. I gotta see some High Five. High Five was good. And now you just had me singing on the podcast too, by the way. Oh, did you freeze up on me? Oh, she froze up. What happened? I don't know what happened. Doesn't matter.
I don't know. It's all your fault. But yes, continue.
Yes. You never heard High Five before?
No.
I gotta get you some.
And I said it sounded like PG-13 music. I don't want to listen to PG-13 music. Kissing game.
It was the 90s, so it was kind of like popish, soulish.
Jodeci. Whatever you want. Whatever you need. We knew exactly what they were talking about. That was not the kissing game. That's the songs that I listen to. Not the patty cake songs.
I'll stay quiet on that one.
Yeah. Boys to Men too.
Yeah, Boys to Men was dope.
Yeah.
Boys to Men. All right. Question number 2. Since you do a podcast, I got a different question for you. If there's one person you can interview on your podcast, who would it be?
Ooh, that is a good one. You have to be specific. So it's like
anybody. Living, dead.
Like if I can interview them, then bam, I'd be like established.
No, just in general. Like, well, you probably would be established if you interviewed them anyway. Like if you pick Barack Obama, 9 times out of 10, you'll probably get established off of that.
Right. Oh, I would probably say Denzel Washington.
That's a good choice.
Yeah.
That's a really good choice because his interviews are always fascinating to me because he doesn't do that many.
Exactly. So for me to get him into a podcast in which he's speaking, that would be like a whoa.
Yeah. I like that choice.
Yes.
Question number 3, and this is everybody's favorite question. Well, one of everybody's favorite questions. What is the dumbest thing you've ever done as a kid?
Oh, I did a lot. I don't know. I really did a
Just
lot.
one particular one we like, damn, that was dumb. Nothing incriminating, by the way. Don't say nothing that's gonna have the fans knocking on your door.
Don't worry, the Sagittarius, what is that? The Sagittarius years are done? No, but I feel like a lot of dumb shit. Like I can't remember. I hate the fact that you put me on the spot, but just thinking off of rip, what I've done that was like really stupid was like, bingo, first grade. I used to steal in first grade.
Oh, you was a klepto.
I used to steal chapstick in other people's coloring books because my mom wouldn't give me the coloring books and chapsticks. So you know what happened? I would go to Walmart. I would look at the camera. And like, even though I didn't say it in my mind, but it's basically equivalent to now, but I'd be like, yo, fuck that camera. And I would just take them juicy fruit chapsticks, put in my uniform pocket, steal them deck of cards, and I would either walk with them out, or what I would do is I'd put it under the bags. So even when the guy checked the receipt, he wouldn't see it. And as soon as he left, then I would take it, and then I would like hide it under the couch. Now, there was one day where my mom was like almost finding it out because she was like, why do you have a Cinderella book when, you like Pocahontas and shit like that? So, I was just like, yo, everything's about to close in. So my dumb ass started throwing everything out. So I had like the chapstick in the radiator. I'm throwing it out. But hence, I had no shoes on. So as I did that, I stepped into like a whole ground filled with glass. So here I am, like, don't cry. The glass is there. Just put everything, and then when it's done, just take the juicy fruit chapstick and coloring book. Literally, I came back, and my mom was like, "Why were you outside barefoot?" So here I am, like passed out, just hoping a guy. Yeah, no, it was crazy.
You was acting like a drug dealer when the cops come in. Like, I gotta flush all this stuff.
I'm telling you, I was like super strategic. Like I could just, the places where I would hide things, it wouldn't even make sense. I would hide something behind like the big televisions and like under like the stereo because they wouldn't lift the stereo unless they were going to move it. So I would do something.
That was a little too smart. Like you was like a first grade Frank Lucas.
Oh my gosh. But yeah. But I've done like a lot of things. What about you?
The dumbest thing I did as a kid? I got plenty of things I've done as a kid that was pretty stupid. When I was in high school, my dad had this old rusty Buick Century. It was a blue rust, so we called it the Blust. So me and my friends used to always drive this car down to South Beach. I don't know why we would do that. Because this car literally was on its last leg. So, but when you drive it down there, South Beach, all the fancy cars, you see this old raggedy Buick down there, and every time you turn the corner, it'll make like a loud screeching noise. Like, so one time we decided to go down there in this car. The car overheats in the middle of Ocean Drive. So we're stuck on South Beach all night with this car overheating, busted up with no way to get home. Yeah. I didn't get home that night till like 5 a.m. in the morning. My pop was pissed off. And the car was all messed up because we blew the engine.
Wow. So I love the fact how you just gave like this lifetime story of like, oh yeah, riding the car broke down, the end. And then here I am admitting that I was like a criminal when I was years old. So thanks a lot.
I didn't tell you.
Now we're going to be like, hey man, she's still... Okay, make sure you have like your pens around her, your chapstick, your phone, nothing. You, it's just like, oh yeah, you just had like a heck of a time when you were young.
Yeah, I didn't tell you to confess the crimes on the podcast.
Yeah. So now you're teaching me like I need a lie. Let me not tell the truth here. Because you won't give a pretty story like, oh, I just walked.
That wasn't a pretty story.
And I tripped.
I was on South Beach embarrassed. Like they're like, who is this guy?
Embarrassment.
Raggedy ass car. This ragged ass busted car with a nerves be on South Beach with a bunch of goons.
I'm sure your attendance sheet was like amazing, so whatever.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh man. Question number 4. Give me your top 5 favorite rappers. And where is Nick Cannon placed on this list?
I would say Diddy is my first one because he's goals. I want to make money off of people, and I want to randomly come into their music and be like, yeah, take that. Take that. No matter what happens, I'm going to take all your money and get credit for it and you get no residual. So Diddy's my number 1 scammer.
I like that.
2 is Tupac.
Okay.
3 is Biggie. Oh, I'm sorry. 2 is DMX. 3 is Biggie. 4 is Tupac. 5, I would say Rick Ross.
I like Rick Ross, so that's cool. People are going to be mad at you that you put Diddy number 1. I like Diddy a lot.
Diddy's the best rapper ever.
I love Diddy. Diddy's awesome to me. I like Diddy. He's one of the greatest producers of all time.
Yes. He's like the best entrepreneur ever.
Yeah. He's a boss.
He's after Sally Mae.
Yeah. I would put Diddy up there. Diddy got people running for cheesecakes and stuff. Look how you look through your
The fact that like whenever they do like these autobiographies pertaining to his musicians, no one has money is like hilarious to me because I'm like, okay, so we're still considering him a successful entrepreneur, but everyone that's like been like under him has no money.
Hey, I think the key to being an entrepreneur is that you make money. Everybody else have to make money.
I see that. No one's getting fed there.
Yeah. I think Jay-Z kind of had a little bit of that too, in a sense.
With who?
Like Jay-Z's one of the biggest artists in the world, and yet I wouldn't consider Beanie Siegel that or any of like state property, even though they're dope artists.
Wait, Beanie Siegel's under Jay-Z?
Well, he was in Jay-Z's prime. Beanie Siegel was definitely under Jay-Z.
I didn't know. And I know I'm going to piss people off, but I can't really think about a Beanie Siegel.
Well, I think you already pissed people off with being your number 1.
Yeah, I don't know what song.
They'll be all right.
No, yeah, they'll definitely be all right.
Question number 5. This is a fun one. Zombie apocalypse happened Walking Dead style. You're going to take 5 things with you to survive in the world. What are you taking? Family and pets don't count. So family and pets automatically come with you.
I'm going to be very honest with you. If there's a zombie apocalypse, they can eat me.
Whoa, why is that?
Because I ain't got time for like just running back and forth. Like when I watch Walking Dead, I'm like, yo, by the first second, not even of like the first episode, by the trailer, I would have been gone. I'm not about to be jumping on top of roofs, hiding under supermarkets.
So you just gonna give up immediately?
Yeah, I'm gonna give up. You're not.
You're not gonna try to fight. You're not gonna go look for help.
Nah, because then after a while, you gotta start procreating with people you're not even attracted to. It's just like,
Who has to do that? You don't have to. Nobody's forcing you to procreate with any of these people.
Now you thinking about you gotta be the next Adam and Eve. It's just like,
no, you don't. Unless
I
you
don't want to be
to
by myself.
Huh?
I don't want to be by myself.
So you're gonna just die?
We're gonna be grown people. We're gonna be geriatric. No, just kill me. Kill me right then. Now I ain't gonna sit over here, walk miles, fight, put like red paint in my face. Nah. First zombie,
you
just eat the good part. Eat the fatty part first. I'm done.
That is a wild answer. I don't even know how to respond to that answer. Like, I'll just give up. I don't think I've ever heard somebody say, I'll just give up.
Yeah.
I'll just give up on hope. All hope is lost.
Listen, I will run away from like those serial killers from the Scary Movie and stuff because they walk slow as hell. And knowing me, as they're like running straight to me, I'm going to back up and I'm going to make a U-turn because you never seen them make a U-turn. But with zombies, nah. They don't sleep.
Zombies are easy to kill, though. They just need one switch hit to the head.
But it's too many. That's what makes them scary.
Yeah, that's true.
When there's one, there's a lot. And that, like, creeps me out because I'm just like, I'm always going to have to, like, constantly fight them.
God, I just... I think if the zombie apocalypse happens, you just come to my house. And I'll figure out a way to protect you because you just go to... This whole give up on life thing isn't good.
Listen, if there's no food in the house, I'm just going to open the door. I'll be like, fam, you got some bread? Yeah. If you make it up to heaven, just knock on my door. I don't know how the room system, the address system, but he'll know. Yeah.
Oh, man. So how are you doing, man? Let everybody know a little bit about your podcast. I think it's a great name and it's unique.
Oh, thank you. So the Not Perfect Just Broke podcast is a podcast pertaining to the struggling millennial. So my goal of the podcast is to make it an interactive space for millennials and also other generations. So far I've launched approximately 6 episodes, which has been great. And the topics have revolved from the manifestation, things that you want to do for yourself, the dating apps, beauty standards, and also just treating yourself. So I'm the person that speaks about things that people are afraid to speak about. And also I'm very analytical. So I'm that type of person where it's like, if you give me a topic, I'll definitely expand on it. And season 2 will launch on New Year's Day. Yay!
Oh, that's cool. So you're doing it in seasons then?
Yes, I'm doing it in seasons. Because what I didn't want was to have like so many episodes.
Oh.
Because like I'm a listener, and the thing is like with the first season has to be like an appetizer. Like, have you been to like someone's wedding and they gave you too many different options where it was like, it was hot dogs, it was small burgers, it was fried plantains, and you just like, all right, baby, you're doing too much. I need something that tastes good. So I think about it like that. Like, I'm the fried pork wrapped in bread and dipped in like Chipotle barbecue.
Huh.
So I did that in 6 episodes. So when people listen to me, it's like, okay. And then in season 2, that's when the controversy is going to start.
Oh, what kind of
company? And I'm also going to be
on?
interviewing CEOs, though, of startup companies.
Oh, that's cool. That's really cool. So what made you want to do this podcast? Where did the concept come from? The name come from? Why are you so smart? Give me all of it. Why you look at me like that?
I know I'm going to sound like really dramatic, but ever since I was young, people told me that I had a voice. And my quirky personality, people always said that I'd be great for radio, I'd be good for journalism. Now, even though I did write for a few other companies, I never did radio. So it just came to my mind one day. I was just like, yo, maybe I should try this podcast because that'd be really cool. And I tried it. I started on September 2019, and so far it's been freaking good.
That's good then.
Yes.
So how do you like it so far? Is it?
I like it. I can say something that podcasters, or at least people who really want to monetize it, don't really explain, is how much work you have to do. Like, for example, whenever I listen to podcasts, I definitely undermine the editing aspect of it. But due to the fact now I'm doing podcasting, I listen to myself and I just be like, yo, what the fuck was that noise? That was an airplane? Oh, we got to do it again. Or you're just like analytics, you're looking at analytics, you're doing these streamings and stuff. And it's just like, oh my God. Yeah. I really shout outs to the podcasters that can do it, because I'm starting to do it. And it's just like, you have to think about every little thing.
Yeah, and when you're a podcast, you got to kind of think of, you're kind of a producer, you're a manager, you're a CEO, you're an editor, and it all wrapped in it up into one. It's kind of an interesting thing to do in terms of how, especially if you want to become marketable and successful at it, it takes a lot of work.
And another thing is that everything falls in like a domino way, which is kind of interesting. It's like if one thing doesn't work, everything else doesn't work. And it's just like, whoa, like, for example, last week I had a situation with analytics where it wasn't showing within one site. And I was just like, wait, I'm getting all these listenings. What's going on? And the person's like, oh, you can copy and paste each streaming service to the company. And I'm just like, girl, that's 13 streams. And she's like, yeah, just do that. Now, due to that, I don't have time to speak to sponsorships, because that means that I would have to screenshot every single day my analytics from each different site. That's costing me money. That's costing me time.
I like the fact that you're very analytical about things. You're very like into these kind of things that people, a lot of people podcasts don't even think about. The fact that you have to kind of build your brand and you have to get the analytics for podcasts to become successful at it.
So because I'm broke. That's what happens when you're broke. When you're broke, you start looking at everything. You just be like, okay, all right, so, okay, all right, let me get that. All right, let me get that. I'm broke. And when you're broke, you focus. So if I had a good living, good money, I'd have been like, fuck it. Y'all get what you got, you know?
You can't be that broke. You live in New York. New York is one of the most expensive cities in the world. It costs like $10 for a burger.
It is true, but the thing is, it's like you're barely making it in New York City, and that's what like freaks me out. And I'm sure that also gives a lot of people anxiety, is that you can make a lot of money in New York City, but it's not going to help you, because it's like with transportation, and it's like the quality doesn't like match the money. It's just like, oh my God. So I know eventually I would have to move out of New York City, because that anxiety of like almost like you're one paycheck away from not making it, it's just like, nah.
Yeah, New York has always been fascinating to me, because a lot of people who lived in New York, for that matter, moved to Miami because of that. Because Miami's kind of a slower paced New York, so it's not as expensive to live here as it is New York. So I have a lot of New Yorker friends because of that reason right there. Like, you go to a Miami Heat game, half the crowd is New York Knicks fans.
Why are they Knicks fans? See, this is what they needed to do. When they moved out of New York, they had to move out of having false dreams, okay? Knicks.
Yeah.
I hate to say it, the Knicks is like that little child where you just be like, he gonna make it one day, but then he keep messing up. So you just like, maybe he's gonna grow out of it, and he never grows out of it. That's the Knicks.
Yeah, Knicks is kind of rough. To say the least, Knicks is just a disappointing franchise. Like,
I don't even acknowledge them. People like, oh yeah, the Knicks. I'll be like, nah.
I have friends in New York, and they're not Knicks fans. They have fans of every other team except the Knicks. They've completely given up.
Yes, because they're disappointing. And it's like the points between one team and the other, it just be so horrible. I remember one year, I think I was in high school, it was like 110, and it was like 6 points, and 6 points was the Knicks, and I was just like, who's the person that did like 2 3-pointers? Just yeah, and then we had Carmelo Anthony, which was like the ball hogger, so it was just him and the ball. It just had nothing to do with the game.
Boy, if there's some Carmelo Anthony fans listening to this right now, I did not say that.
Fam, this is how it be. As soon as that ball touched him, shoot, pass it to me, shoot. If he ain't make it, it's like, oh, that sucks. But he was not gonna pass it. That was his baby.
So you used to do some writing too. So what sites did you write for?
I've written for the Huffington Post and LinkedIn and Rockaway.com.
So what was that like?
It was actually interesting because they gave me like freedom of writing, which was good. So for the first article, I wrote about my natural hair journey. And then the second article was pertaining
to... When you go about that, let's hear a little about your natural hair journey. What did that entail?
Well, first disclaimer, because I know women going to be like, girl, that's not your natural hair. This ain't my natural hair, okay? This is Yaki horse wave. But the hair under here will fucking amaze you. Now, because you know it's gonna be a few people that's gonna be like, girl, I know Yaki, I know Kekalan. I'm like, okay, bitch. So My natural hair journey, it was very interesting because no one in my family was for it. My mother kept on looking at me like, you sure? And I'm like, yeah. And she's like, I'll pay for the pen. I'll pay for it. But you cannot go outside looking like that in your, it's looking all crispy and stuff like that. That's not good. So it was very interesting going through that.
Gotta explain
And
to people who don't know, because that accent, I know it well.
oh yes, this accent is Haitian.
There you go.
Yes, yes, yes. So going through that was very interesting, and it definitely took a long time for my mother to be accepting. I started being natural within 2010. Isn't that crazy? Within the Black community, we have to talk about being natural as if we're coming out. Like every time I talk like this, it sounds like I'm changing, like either a gender identity or I'm becoming gay or something. It's just like it's my hair.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, like why has it been like this to the point that being natural is just like a, oh my god, I would never. And it's just like, how?
Yeah, it's crazy to think that, but it's actually true. Like women have this, well, Black women have this weird thing with big natural in the hair and stuff like that. Their natural hair is beautiful. And it's kind of this, I want to say Hollywood type of thing where every girl has to have this look the same type of hair and stuff like that. And we have to kind of succumb to that.
Well, I'm going to come at you with that one. I don't think it's women's fault. I think it's actually the man's
Oh,
fault.
it definitely is.
Yeah, because I feel like a lot of women do things based off of what men want. And I feel that due to the fact Black men specifically have seen these attractive women with straight hair. And I'm going to be honest with you, the mixed girls and the Latina girls, you know, they see that type of look. It's almost like they rate them from like white, big girl, white, Latina, mix, Black nappy hair. And it's just like, really?
You know, I think I agree. I think there's, well, at least I'll say this. It's a certain stigmatism that Black women get. And I think that Black women show that they feel that way. They feel like they're not appreciated like they should be.
Oh, we're not appreciated. That's a fact. And it's interesting because when I went to a predominantly white school, I was that type of person where it was like, no, you guys are delusional. This doesn't happen to me until I started dating Black men. And I was just like, God damn. Let me tell you something. I've been in a few dates where men have looked at my real hair and was just like, yo, if you get a perm, you would be such a bad chick. And I'll just be like, okay. And they'd be like, I will pay for your perm. Like I've had people where it's just like, they'll visualize me or they'd be like, you know what, for a Black woman, you're really attractive. But man, if you were light, and it's just like,
That's a
I
wild
would
thing to
never
tell somebody.
imagine talking to a Black man like that.
That's a wild thing to tell somebody.
But it's all about the surroundings. And I think I'm gonna piss your audience members off, but it's fine. With Black Americans, we're taught that white people are like very attractive, but then like when you go to like African countries or if you date African people, they think that they're the baddest motherfuckers out like ever. Like you cannot look at a Nigerian woman and say that she don't look good, she doesn't look good or something like that, and she'll just be like, they don't pay attention to you. But like with Black people, we always have to compare to something better.
Yeah, I think when you touch on that, I think the problem is that African Americans, especially in this country, we make the culture, but a lot of times we fall behind it. You know what I mean by that? Like we're the culture makers for everything. When it comes to music, hip hop probably the biggest genre in America right now. And even like R&B and country kind of takes beats from R&B and hip hop. You know, it's a fact that everything that you look in today's culture and society is based off of Black culture. But yet still, we still are trying to follow the trends that are not from us.
We're trying to follow other people when people are trying to follow us.
Yes, and it's crazy to say that, but that's how it is.
So it's very interesting when I see like people date, because the thing is, yes, I am definitely completely for interracial dating. But I do not like it when you date someone and you think that by you dating that person, that means that, oh yeah, you're doing great, you're doing amazing. It's like, no, but we're still in that type of mentality. This is why I consider America still a racist country, because our mind still hasn't changed. And it's not even towards the white people. I think it's more the Black people. We still do have that oppressive mentality. And that could be a different subject, because I come from a Haitian background and they carry a lot of the oppressive mentality where it's like, oh, we have to have the perm, or we have to look like this. Or if a person is light skinned, they're more likely to get married than someone who's dark skinned. And it's to the point where when people say dark skin and Creole, it's an insult. But if someone says light skin and Creole, ooh, mon gris man, oh, I'm light skinned. But someone tell you dark skin, you just be like, oh, let me see if I get some bleaching cream. Like, it's horrible.
Yeah, I get that. I feel like there's a big cultural divide, not only just in African Americans, but in Black people in general in America, in terms of how, like, you can't call a Haitian person Black. Can't call a Jamaican person Black. They're like, no, I'm Haitian.
Yeah, and I definitely agree. Yeah, don't call me Black. I'm Haitian. I come from my country. I know my country.
Yeah, there's so many different variables to that equation in terms of how we don't always stick together because of that.
Well, the thing is, it's not so much sticking together. I just think you need to find your culture, because whenever you speak to a white person, whenever you speak to a Muslim person, whenever you speak to an Asian person, they will not tell you that they're Asian. They'll tell you, baby, I'm Chinese, I'm Korean, I'm Irish, I'm Italian. They know where the hell they belong. And I think Black people need to start finding that, because the thing is, America, our culture is not even a culture. It's based off of mixed traditions.
Yes.
And then majority of our culture is like so unseasoned in America. So when I say Haitian, it's because I'm like, no, I don't want to be compared. I don't want to feel like, oh yeah, the slaves, like, da-da-da. It's like, no, that shit ended within my country within 1804.
Yeah, it's a big difference.
Yeah.
And I think you're right about that in terms of how African Americans, because they were brought over here as slaves and stuff, don't have the same culture, and they're kind of disconnected from the culture that they're from. Like we don't know much about Africa and things like that unless we have to go out there and seek that out.
Right, and that's fine. But what I don't like is when people make immigrants that are from Black countries make us feel like, oh, you think you're good. And it's like, no, it's not we think we're good. It's just that we come from something. And I don't want to be Black. No, I'm Haitian. I'm West Indian. I eat my Black rice. Take it. But then I also feel like it depends on the family, because I have seen some Black people from America who are very cultured.
Yes.
Yeah, they're just, and it's also like always Southern. It's always like a lot of them Southern families that like keep their generations together. They're very cultured. So I don't want to say it's just everyone. But some of them is just like, they think Timberlands is part of their culture in New York. And I'm like, okay, baby. All right. Gucci belt. Okay.
Yeah. New York's kind of different than everybody else, to say the least. And that's not a bad thing. It's just New York has its own culture and its own mecca to it.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Just like Florida. It's crazy ass in Florida.
Yeah, Florida, man, is kind of our trademark.
I don't know. I think sometimes you guys drink acid for breakfast. Whenever I watch the news, I just be like, yeah, they spiking up the water with something. Because when I watch it makes no sense.
So what is your plans for your podcast? Where do you want to see it go? How can you stop from being broke?
Well, strategically thinking, I would have to monetize it, but in the way to monetize it would just be communicating with other podcasters, communicating more within social media, interacting with my audience, and figure out what they are looking for and also what they like from the podcast. Being strategic pertaining to what episodes to have. Drafting episodes and doing episodes prior to launching. And I think that there's other small things, but there's a such thing as doing too much, because at first I was just like, oh my God, I need followers. Give me as much followers as you need. But I'm starting to realize it's less about the followers and more about how many times a person listens to your podcast. Because you can just have like one person click into your podcast and that's one listen. But there's that one person that may like your podcast. And I had one person who introduced my podcast to her husband, and then her husband introduced it to her homeboys. So it was just like these groups of people listening to it. So I think that's the way.
Yeah. I think the most important aspect of podcasting is building that audience and getting those people behind you that's going to listen every week and telling other people about it. And it's difficult, but once you get that audience, it's well worth it in terms of how people respond to your episodes and your podcast. Like I said, it's not an easy thing. Like, I'll give you a perfect example. My first episode of my podcast, not the one I'm doing now, but I did a podcast with my best friend a while back. We did like crazy numbers. I was like, oh shit, this is going to blow up. The next week, it was like 2 listens.
Yeah.
You know, then I kind of realized, this is something we have to like put work into. And it's not, like I said, it's not easy, but once you start getting into the groove and learning how to do things and make it work, it's well worth it. And I think that you're going to do great in the podcasting world.
I hope so. Thank you. But yeah, I needed to do myself a favor and not be so focused on analytics, because that will make you go crazy. Like,
don't worry about analytics.
Because I had a habit of looking at it, and I'm just like, 2 people. And then there would be times where I didn't post anything, and then it would like increase by 100%. And I'm like, so what is going on? Like,
let me give you that advice right now. Don't worry anything about analytics. Just worry about building your brand. Communicate with other podcasts, because other podcasters are going to introduce you to other podcasters, which is going to introduce you to more listeners, which is going to open up doors. Don't worry about the analytics stuff. That stuff will come later on down the line. Just worry about building your brand and talking to like-minded people and people outside of your circle to help build your podcast up, because those are people who are going to evangelize for you. Because, like, I'll give you a perfect example. I'm on a lot of podcasts, and it's not because it's because people kind of just want to do interviews with me and stuff like that, because I've built that name and that brand recognition. And I think that's something that you have to focus on as a podcaster in terms of getting yourself out there. Because once you get your audience is going to stay, but you have to get their audience and get other people to come along on the ride with you. And I think that's the trick to it. So just being on this podcast is going to help you some. Go on other podcasts, talk to other podcasters, learn tricks and trades from them, and that's going to help you build your brand.
Okie dokie. Now, will it like make me like not be broke, or will it just make me like sometimes broke, sometimes good?
I think you'll start off being sometimes broke, sometimes you have money. You'll at least have gas money if you play it right.
Gas money? No, I want more than that.
Yeah, well, you can get more than that. Not me. I don't look like you. So
titties, exactly.
Oh, I wasn't going to say that, but that does help.
Hell yeah, why not?
It's been awesome having you on.
Yes.
You are amazing. You
Thank
are drop dead gorgeous.
Oh, wow.
And your podcast is awesome.
Oh, thank you. Did you actually listen, or are you just bullshitting for your show?
Yes, I did listen. I'm not just bullshitting.
No, because you know how people are like, thank you, I listened to everything and it was just amazing. I'm just like, quoted.
I didn't listen to every episode now, but I did listen. I think the podcast is good. I think
No. That's cool. I'm just playing with you.
But you're dope. Let them know where to find you and your podcast at.
Find me everywhere you can listen to a podcast. I'm everywhere. I'm like the Jehovah's Witness. I'm everywhere.
And let them know the name of the podcast again, if those who don't know.
Not perfect, just broke.
There you go.
Yay!
And as always, Delvin Cocktail Spirits, we are out. Peace.